Yes. Okay, so I am so excited. And after having read your book, a tiny bit starstruck and nervous, which
Hmm.
I never get nervous about. And I
Ah,
don't know if this is a compliment though to you, because I never get nervous because normally I'm not very interested in what other people are doing, but your life, your take on life, your experiences, your okay, let's just say your energy, your fierceness, your passion, and your brutal honesty have made me one of your biggest fans.
thank you. That's quite a lineup of traits that I would love to aspire to.
You've
Um,
you've met it. You've met it. And I want everyone in the world. I found your book, Bite Your Friends. I found it by I was reading something on Facebook, The
yeah.
Follies of God. Um,
My gosh, yes. Yeah, yeah. Yes. The Tennessee,
Fascinating group.
yeah.
Um,
Is it
I'm
the
horrible
Tennessee
with
Williams.
names.
Yeah. James Grissom. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love him. I love him. I love everything he posts. I read this just raving review and I thought, oh, I've got to read this book. And in my line of work, when you're a narrator, the first thing you do is look for the audiobook. You just do. And I went and I looked and I was like, there's no audiobook. Well, it's definitely going to be with the publisher, but like, I'm just going to be really cheeky and reach out because this book has to be an audio.
Mhm.
And it's going to be, and I'm honored. Can I ask you about 10-year-old Fernanda?
Yes, 10-year-old Fernanda was a total freak. I was reading the Bible cover to cover. My
Wow.
very permissive parents let me drop out of school because I think I was having what, I now realize was kind of like a depressive crack up. And all I did was read Russian novels in my room and try to write an imitation Russian novel. I was an absolute loner. I used to hole up, get in the closet in my bedroom and sort of sing, you know, church liturgy. It just was the freakiest period of my life. And all I was doing was hoping that I would meet fellow freaks. And sort of like once in a really long time I did. But then it took a while really to find my own people. So I think actually this book is sort of like a way of saying who else is out there? Here are some of the people, Bite Your Friends, this book that we're talking about that you're recording is a sort of history of other freaks, of much more eminent freaks. But I
And now
definitely
I'm thinking back to 10-year-old me reading the Marquis de Sade, the
no way.
Charles
Whoa.
Manson. My parents didn't
What?
guard the bookshelf, and Wuthering
Whoa.
Heights.
Whoa. Wow. That is what a
Set me
great,
up for
great
stable
thing.
relationships for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Split the difference. So put them up in but Charles Manson, Marquis de Sade, and Wuthering Heights. Whoa. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
yep, good stuff.
Mine actually, just as I think we must have had the same parents. My mother was reading to me, actually to my father, but I would sort of sit in Rosemary's Baby, which is, as you know, has Manson connection. So, what a combo. Yeah,
But I
we
wouldn't
were
trade it.
set up.
Would you? I wouldn't trade it for anything because I wouldn't trade it because like I think 10-year-old the 10-year-old we are informs who we are this moment. You never get rid of the 10-year-old, do you?
Yes. And what was your parents' attitude? Your parents were sort of permissive, weren't really paying attention.
They were just my parents were very my father was from Rome and my
Hmm.
mother was from California and we spent winters in Fresno and
Yeah.
summers on balconies with movie directors living the La Dolce Vita life in Rome. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's like
Yeah.
a weird dichotomy, but they were just busy, being
Yeah.
glamorous, and
Yeah.
my life wasn't a thing.
Mhm. Well, that was sort of it, wasn't it? And I don't know, I wouldn't know how to pin down sort of like which year it changed. The year it changed is sort of like when our generation became helicopter parents because we felt a little too run wild. But it was, I love the sort of neglect, the loving neglect we experienced. Our
Did you
generation.
compensate when you had kids?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I sort of did. No, no,
Did
yes,
you?
yes and no. I didn't know. I was unbelievably permissive. I thought I was gonna be a really strict parent because it bugged me, never going to bed, never having a bedtime, and never
Yeah.
being made to take a shower. So I thought I'd be good and strict, and I definitely, but I couldn't do it. I don't know how to. They all, my poor kids. I don't know how to say no. It's bedtime. No, you can't have that candy bar. But,
Yeah, I never had any. I remember my parents were really shocked because I like got straight A's, but it was like a fluke, not by like trying, just by like being interested in things. But they were shocked because they assumed we were going to top universities, but
Yeah.
nobody ever had that conversation.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yes.
nobody cared. I mean, they cared.
Yes.
They loved you. They
Yes.
loved us, but they didn't guide, or they were busy.
Yeah. Yes. Totally, completely the same. No academic expectations as far as I could tell. Just, glad you're alive. Glad yeah. And that's kind of what, that it's kind of wonderful. It's scary. It's scary. That much freedom is scary, but it's also kind of wonderful. And yes, the best thing, what my parents did, I sort of did get a lot of transmission in the way that of their sort of taking me to underground films and experimental theater and that stuff. So there was a lot of weird culture, but they let me drop, as we started this conversation, they let me drop out of school in fifth grade.
But can
And
I ask you, do you think that when you have parents like that, and it was the impression I got from reading your book, when you have parents like that, where their life is the important thing and they're living their life, and your kids, it's in a way, it's a glorious thing because they loved their lives or hated it or were passionate about it or were dramatic about it. And so it's almost like they had their lives, you have your life. It's not the same life, and you have an expectation that your life is going to be equally as big, as important, as
yes,
dynamic as, do you know what I mean? And your book
yeah,
made me feel that, because I think then you get to a certain age and you have all these expectations of your life. And I read your book and I thought all the feelings you've met. I don't know if you, from your point of view, see your life that way, but the people you've met, which we'll touch on in a minute, and the things you've done are a dream for me. They're the books that I've read. They're the things that I planned to someday when I grew up do. And then one day you wake up and you're like 90 years old and you're like, have I lived a small life? Did I
yeah,
end up living a small life while I was reading all the books about the big life I was going to live? And your book gave me permission to credit the hugeness of parts of my life, because you finally come to crediting am I right that you develop an appreciation for the hugeness that is your life?
yes. But I think I also believe in a mental life. I mean, that I think half of my life at least is sort of like books I've read. I think that's life too. So the mental life. Sometimes the life inside my head is so, insanely overactive and over vivid that it feels like,
Yeah.
more life than the outside stuff. But yeah, I think that's, a kind of great thing about getting to this getting a bit older is you feel you've lived, and that means you've got things to say, and you've got things to transmit. So there's
Right.
a lot of, there's a lot of stuff I want to pass on to readers, or to people I meet, or to people I know, as well as being a sort of sponge for other people's lives and other people's passions.
Because by your friends, it most of the book I lived vicariously through you, the glamour, the excitement, um, your best friend. And I'm just like, I lived vicariously. And then in the end, you give us permission to look at our own lives for, I don't, by looking and examining your life. And the thing I wanted to ask you, because I talk to a lot of writers,
Mhm.
and there's always the business of writing, the publishing. Um, and I know a lot of writers write in a genre that can sell in this, but I'm fascinated by writers that just, I mean, it's the expression, bare their soul.
Yeah.
Because that's brave. Do you have to steel yourself before you write a book like that?
Totally. I felt like this book, I felt like the book I was waiting all my life to write, that I was wanting to write all my life and never had the guts. And I felt like there were things I knew how to do that I'd done, and I don't want to do down my previous set of novels, but I'd sort of gotten very, very good at beautiful language.
Yeah.
And I could sort of there were a lot of stuff I could do in my sleep, but I wanted to write something that went so deep, that was so raw, that was sort of agony to write, that where I would be insanely kind of embarrassed, and where it would be like one of those nightmares where you wake up, you're naked in the middle of the public square.
Yeah.
And this book was that. I completely naked in Times Square. And I can't believe, and I can't believe I did this thing. Uh, that I sort of that I laid bare these innermost, darkest, most shameful, embarrassing things about myself. In the context of writing about people who are seriously brave. Um, I think, it's a book of other people's lives of these kind of crazy prophets and revolutionaries and martyrs and sort of political fighters who are really out in the streets. So it's kind of like a and there's a whole thread of my wondering why, I admire these political fighters, I admire these activists, I admire these saints, but actually I'm only sort of comfortable and, locked up in my own room in front of a screen. So it's a book about bravery and about cowardice, where I'm sort of trying to learn from the example of these, crazily brave political fighters, and who are teaching us, we can all be a little bit braver. Yeah.
Do you
So
think that
that's
that became because you were reading all that when you were a young child and you were learning from these people when you were very young? Do you think that became part of who you are, that bravery? Because do you think it informed
um
who you grew up to be?
well, no, I think I'm always sort of, I think I feel like an unbelievable coward. um
Really?
yeah, and super, so hidden and hiding and gutless. And someone who put, who really only is comfortable in my own room. um uh Alone. Um, but
So
I
the
th
pandemic, did you have the same? Because when I was in the pandemic, I was like, what's everyone making a big deal about? Stay home. It's fun.
Yeah, I had, thank God. It just depended. It depended on having, my experience of people I know. First of all, it depended. For if you didn't have an old person, or who was sort of cut off, or sick person, if you had enough space, if you had the right circumstances, it was heaven.
Yeah.
And I had a good, I had a good situation. I had a wonder, yeah, I kind of I hate to say it because I had a great, I had a good COVID. And
Yeah, I
it was
did too at the time of my life.
very, very, very,
Because the thing is, I could keep having my own party at home, but then everyone else was forced to get online and join me.
yeah, yes,
So,
that's really, really good.
yeah,
That is
I
that,
mean, the
yeah,
whole millions
that's
of
the
people dying wasn't ideal, but
yeah.
tongue in cheek. But yeah, okay, writing. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of it because I have some writers that watch these videos,
Mhm.
and I know that it must be the reason I don't do it is sitting down with that blank page and facing yourself must be
Yeah,
just a terrifying thing. And so if you're a new, because you've been writing all your life,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
I think, was there a point, at what point did you think, I am a writer? This is official. Nobody has to give it to me. This is who I am.
Yeah. I think I had a lot of false confidence because I started super young before it was official. And I started, I sort of published my first, I started with journalism. I started published my first interview pieces when I was sort of 16. I wrote a novel in college. I thought I was a writer already. That's what I was. But there was sort of like no, at that age, there wasn't a lot of competition. It wasn't official. I wasn't going to have to make a living out of it and it be professional. So then I got a really nasty shock when I got out of college and suddenly it was, this is everybody, there were other people who were doing this thing too,
Yeah.
my age. I had my first novel got turned down by tons of publishers. It was real. So I can't even, I'm not sure if there was a moment. I had the bad moment, the moment of feeling a total failure, which comes back a lot. And it's never, it's never safe. It's never kind of one. Um, it comes and goes, the sense of can you call yourself a writer? I can't
Can
call
I, can
myself
I, can I,
anything else.
you brought something up. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm
Yeah,
sparking something. I just had a conversation with my husband before this call.
yeah.
And what you just said that it keeps coming back, that fear and everything. It's,
Hmm.
I was saying, I told you I'd had a spurt of luck,
Yeah.
because, and I think superstitiously that like when I get into flow and I'm concentrating on a book that I love so much, good things come to me because I'm not trying to make them happen. And he
Hmm.
said, well, tell that to somebody, the people that are working in offices and they're safe. And I said, the thing about them and the thing
Yeah.
about me, and I can say that about writers as well, so all narrators and writers, is we are always unemployed. And so
Mm, yeah.
literally our normal state is not knowing for sure anything.
Yes.
And I think that people that work in secure jobs or
Hmm.
traditional careers are also always unemployed. The difference is we know it.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely true.
And we
Yeah.
have to be strong and we have to like build the resilience to, you know, what conversation do you have with yourself when moments of doubt come up?
You remember that you got through it before. That's all.
Yeah.
You being there, you got through it before. It'll happen again. Um, I I sort of my practical thing is I go back and forth a lot between journalism, journalism and you know the stuff, the books.
Yeah.
So if I get stuck, if I get stuck or if I feel too isolated or too lost or too out on a limb, then I write a piece. Um, but it's not, it's those dark places you hope you learn something from them. I think, they'll happen when you're 90, probably worse than now if you're lucky to live that long.
And they're
It's never
probably
over.
good for us, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's never over. and you got to keep learning how to do things differently and how to sort of rebirth yourself as, I mean, for me as a writer, all the time, and just, yeah, let it happen.
Yeah. I
I
but
think
sorry, go ahead.
I think I probably, I probably have I'm a little OCD on sort of discipline, on sort of writerly discipline. But if if we're talking about getting stuck or the blank page, for me, it's always the diary. That if I get stuck on working on a book, I go to the diary. I go to my diary. I keep my journal. Which
Really? Do you do that regularly? I find it excruciating. I kept diaries when I was a child for years and they were stolen. And I've
Oh
never
no,
been
who
able to
stole them?
ever write one again in my life.
Who stole it? Who
A
stole
nasty
them?
roommate I had.
Oh, yikes. Wow.
Yeah. But it
That
was
is,
just that feeling that like I've put myself on
uh,
here and now it's taken. So I'm like afraid I just subconsciously can't do it. Do you do it regularly, like every
I
day?
do. Yeah, I do for long stretches and sort of more at other times. But if I'm not writing a book, or if I'm sort of like paused on a book, then I write my diary. And it's always, it always feels wonderful. It always feels good. I never
Really?
feel I've wasted my
Do
time
you
writing
have
a book.
rituals? Do you have rituals for writing, like a certain mug, a certain time of day? Do you go, what do you do
Yeah, I
when?
do. I have to do it first thing in the morning. I am completely drugged on very heavy caffeine. Yeah. And I have a couple of saints I say prayers to.
I
And
love that. Really? I
I do.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I really
Uh,
love that. So what kind of prayers? Like, please let today's writing go well kind of
yeah,
prayers?
let me, yeah, please, give me strength. Give me strength. Yeah. 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 Yeah, absolutely do. Yeah.
I'm I used to be I'm a spreadsheet person. I used to be like that, but lately these little things, I read something the other day from some scientist. She said the best affirmation you can say to make yourself happy, and I've been trying it, and it's like a voodoo mind trick. These are the good days.
Ah, but wait, that could be really alarming. If it feels like a horrible day, that means it's just going to get worse.
That's no, that's what I thought. But what it does is it tricks the part of you that kind of thinks that like things used to be better, or
Yeah.
I'm one diet away from everything being great. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It
Yeah.
tricks that part of me and makes me think, well, actually, immediately my brain goes, well, actually, they're not so bad. You know,
Yeah.
it's working. It works. It's a
Yeah.
good affirmation.
That sounds like a good sort of talisman to hang on to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. Kim says it brings you into the moment. Yes, exactly. And that's what your book is doing. That's okay. I'm just gonna say I said it before the call and I said I wouldn't say it on the call, but I'm behind on my deadline for Fernanda's book
Mhm.
because I'm loving it too much.
Ah,
It's a
that's good.
challenge. There are a lot of pronunciations, but I'm loving this challenge. I am loving the world you've introduced me to. I am living vicariously through young Fernanda. I have cried a couple of times and had to stop and then go back and then stop again because I kept breaking up. And
Ah,
it's just, it's been good for my heart by
yeah.
your friends.
That
It,
is wonderful. I'm really thrilled.
have you
That's
had a lot of people reach out to you after reading the book saying,
Yes. And
yeah,
yeah, it's been very, very heartening that way. I've had really intense, incredible reactions from people. Yeah, really, really, really powerful. And from people I admire a lot. So it's been great that way.
it's a
And
book that changed your life kind of book. It's not a read on the beach book. It's a book. This is a book that changed my life book. And I think maybe that's because, as you said, you brought everything to the table.
yeah, Yeah, finally, and it just feels like, finally, finally, finally I did it. Finally, I could write what was sort of what was absolutely deepest sort of core being, core meaning. Which sort of, it kind of reminds me of one thing I was thinking of when we were talking about sort of being stuck with writing, that what I sort of the minute what I try to, when things are going really badly, I'll sort of write my diary, just write one true thing today. Uh, and it's not always that easy, but in this
Yeah.
book, I was trying to write a lot of things that were true for me. Things I really, really, really believed. That,
But
you
the
know,
honesty, your honesty reminds us of our honesty. That's what I'm always trying to achieve with narration. And you guys have heard me go on about this a million times. If we tap into the honest place of ourselves, rather than trying to put a character onto the author's words and
mm,
just let the words go through. I know I sound like one of those people in Actors Studio. It's like the
mm,
craft. But
no,
if we let ourselves be a receptacle for and just try to get the energy from the writer and share the energy with the listener.
yeah, yes,
We all want to tap into each other's energy, don't we? So we can remind ourselves of our own energy.
yes. But it's also about storytelling and what's the writer giving you? What's this book giving you? And I'm trying to give stories of people, of very, very different people's lives. So, I'm sort of giving you a little snippet of my childhood, of my mother, who was this kind of fashion figure in the 1960s. But then I'm taking you back to this, a Carthaginian martyr from, the year 300, who's kind of like just given birth to a baby and still gets fed to the wild beasts in the amphitheater. And then, fast forward to Pussy Riot and these young Russian women who are sort of getting sent off to the gulag for
And no,
um
Nadia, I'm not even going to try her surname and because I don't have
mm,
it in front of me. I have to check it every time I
yeah,
open my mouth and say it. Talak to talk. I've got to see it. I don't want to worry you. I got it right in the book, I swear. But
yeah, I
um,
think.
I found that fascinating. You got to meet her, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to meet her sort of thanks to my niece, who was working at this place, the Watermill Center, for the theater director, Bob Wilson, who sadly just died a couple months ago. But he had this wonderful art center in Long Island where he invited artists from all over the world for the summer, and then he sort of laid on this lecture series where he got amazingly sort of provocative, inspiring, confrontational artists and scientists and thinkers to come speak to these artists, these kind of young artists he'd assembled. And the opening speaker was Nadia Tolokonnikova of Pussy
Totally
Riot.
kind of yeah.
And so he needed somebody to sort of do the Q&A with her. And my niece was Bob Wilson's assistant, and she thought of me because I'd written about Pussy Riot. If you're talking about nerves, and being nervous interviewing somebody or having a conversation with them, I have never been as nervous in my life as
Why? Why were you nervous about interviewing her?
just sort of. I admired her so much. She'd gone to prison for doing this kind of wonderful prank, this kind of punk protest song. The second she got out of prison, Putin put her in jail, sent her off to the ends of the Russian earth, to this prison camp where she was sewing police uniforms. And she just was so defiant and so gutsy and so brave and so funny. And she's so sharp and smart. And, she's a philosopher. And uh, and the idea of kind of interviewing her, standing up, thinking the right questions, how to do it, what do you do with this woman? She was sort of totally my heroine. So I was very, 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 very nervous. And stayed very, very, very nervous. Yeah, and
Really?
but
So it didn't.
yeah,
So
no,
was she
usually,
was she
yeah.
charming? Was she charming when you
She
met
was
her?
charming, but she didn't have to be charming because she knew exactly what she wanted to do. So I'd sort of prepared, 500 questions, and I'd really thought about it for months.
I just
And I
got a
showed
short
them.
list of 500 questions
Yeah,
for you.
well, not I like to exaggerate, but I sort of showed them all to her, and she sort of looked through them. Great, 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 fine, fine, fine. But then, in fact, it turned out that she knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she'd sort of had this slightly she'd prepared this whole kind of history of protest and with a slideshow and a PowerPoint. So she did it. She sort of, that's what she did her thing. She didn't need, and she didn't need an interviewer whatsoever. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. And it was very powerful.
The
Um,
one thing I loved was when she said at first I didn't want to complain. I didn't want to complain or worry or bother people too much in prison or be a princess. But then I
mhm.
realized that if I'm not a princess and I don't compl if I complain and I'm a princess, that's asking for everyone. If you speak up
Yes,
for your own rights, you're speaking up for everyone's rights.
that was so smart, wasn't it? Yeah, that
Yeah.
you got to complain. Yeah, you're complaining to give everybody else a bit, all the other people in prison to get
Get
better,
past your own
back.
ego and what you look like, and
Yeah,
let's
yes.
speak up for what's true, which is that keeps coming back to the same thing, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Speak the truth.
yes. Speak the truth. And she ended up teaching, going all around the world, teaching everybody else how to protest, authoritarian regimes. And so I think it's the thing I admire about her, I feel super individualist and introverted, but someone like her, she's laying the way for everybody. A lot of the people I'm writing about, they bring everybody along. They want, uh, they're teaching everybody how to fight, um, instead of collective action. So if you're a kind of solitary, inward-looking writer, that's pretty amazing.
You know your friend Stephen.
Yeah.
Can you
So,
say his surname for me?
so his name's Stephen Varble. So
Thank
he's
you. Thank
Yeah,
you. Because
yeah.
I did worry when
Uh-huh.
my proofer came back and said, "Are you sure that's how you pronounce Stephen?" I'm like, well, it better
How
be because
else? How else? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I that was the moment that I cried
Oh,
a lot
wow.
because
About his getting sick.
about
Or,
the ending and about the friendship and because I feel like I know him. I feel like I have known him. I think I probably have known him in different forms
yeah.
in my youth,
Yes.
and I just it's yeah, and the ending of your friendship and everything, it just I cried. It didn't end the way I wanted it to end.
But it was sort of like, that was a story a little bit sort of born of guilt because, here was this, I was friends, when I was 14 years old, I was friends with this amazing guy who was twice my age, who was this, drag queen costume artist who made all his costumes out of things he picked out of the garbage, and, who now is enjoying a kind of posthumous glory. Um, but at the time, I loved him, but I also felt embarrassed by him, overwhelmed by him, uh, oh, sort of cr crushed or sort of by his kind of neediness, his isolation, his poverty, his bouts of depression. And it was a very, very intense friendship. But, by the time the when I went away to college, we started being friends when I was 14. Went away to college and saw him once after that and just didn't, it's just partly a story about having blanked somebody out. This was sort of pre-AIDS, then AIDS hit, and I sort of knew he had to be sick or I would have heard from him. And I didn't, I didn't want to know. So, and I went through kind of 30, 40 years of not thinking about him until I sort of suddenly had the guts to look him up and I mean look him Google him, and find out that he died really early in the epidemic. And now then afterwards, I started piecing together the little bits of his life, of our friendship, finding the diaries I'd written then. So it's sort of a funny story. It's a funny. There's this wonderful French writer who wrote a book, to the friend who didn't save my life. And I feel like Vicky Bear, and I feel like I'm the friend who didn't save Stephen's life.
But you could
Um,
only be, yeah, you've just brought back a vivid memory that I completely lost. I kind of wished I kept it lost. I had a very dear friend who did crystal meth, whatever, when I was in LA and I was young and it was exciting and she wore a leather jacket. She was the coolest person on earth. And we drifted apart. And I was walking with my husband in LA. When nobody walks in LA ever, 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 years
yeah,
later. And we were walking back from some club or something. We just happened to be near our house. And she was on a corner at a at a stop to cross the street right in front of us. And there's
yeah,
nobody else on any street in LA ever. Nobody walks in LA. And she was obviously deep in to the crystal meth. I mean, she was the kind of person that you would kind of be worried they could harm you on the street.
And how many years was this
This
after
was
you'd
like
lost touch?
15 years.
Oh, yeah,
And I stayed very quiet and didn't say a word and waited for her to cross the street
yeah,
and told my husband later. And I'm like, that guilt. But
oh,
I think I, I was only the person that I was.
yeah.
A
I,
drug addict at that level scared me. The person that I was then, the person I am now would have said something. The person you are now, but Stephen might not have been friends so much with the person you are now.
yeah, yes. I still protect myself a lot. I definitely understand your reaction seeing your friend who's obviously really strung out.
I'm really embarrassed. I'd forgotten about that until this moment, or maybe buried it deep. But like, oh my God, what a horrible person.
Totally get it. And you really think, what would you do now? What would you do now, do you think?
I would have said hi and I would have had a cordial conversation with her.
Yeah. And
Young
if,
me would have brought her home. I used to bring anyone I met home and let them stay the night. We'll have a
yeah.
party, live with me for a couple of months. But
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
Yes. Wouldn't do that. Yeah.
But
You wouldn't do that. And if she asked you, I don't have anywhere to sleep, you being you at this age, you say hi, you have a cordial conversation. She wants to get, she says she needs a bed. Then what do you say?
well, I was with my Glaswegian husband, and to be honest, people don't ask for things when he's there.
Uh-huh. So he's pretty fierce. He's
He's
fierce or
quite
gruff.
intimidating without wanting to be. He's just
Yeah.
people don't. Yeah, so that wouldn't have. Can't imagine it having. I could have said something that day on that street corner, but I was a provincial young girl. You
Yeah.
are who you are. You do the best you can at the time, can't you? I think guilt is like so. It's to stop us doing things in the future that hurt people. It's not going to
Yeah.
help the past.
Guilt is completely useless.
Yeah.
I still seem to invite confidences and openness and sharing and sort of an unbounded read intimacy, but then I actually need a lot of barricades between me and
Yeah,
me.
yep.
Yeah.
But boundaries are so boring.
Yeah.
I mean, some the best people in the world are strangers, don't you find?
Yeah,
They
I
like
do.
the synapses that, I don't know,
Yeah.
the people that you've never met, I find have the most to share.
Ah.
I
And
love
what do
that.
yeah. So the I think I definitely, so I'm this book, this Bite Your Friends, I'm writing about a lot of people who aren't quite crystal meth addicts, but are people you might not want to invite home. I'm sort of on purpose, I'm writing about people who are very, very far out. Very, uh very undomesticated.
I love
People,
those people. They remind me of why I joined burlesque. They're,
uh,
they're, they're, I love the freaks of the world.
mhm. Yeah. Well,
I do, because I think we all are, but only the ones that present as freaks are the ones that just have the guts to be who they are. I think
yeah.
everyone's a
Yes.
freak and they're just good at hiding it.
Yeah. Yes. And did you learn, and burlesque helped you with that?
Oh my
Helped you
God,
find that?
burlesque helped me with everything. Burlesque shook me to the core. Burlesque taught me what corporate world tells you, that everyone's jealous of people. Everyone does passive aggressive things. No, everyone doesn't. People
Hmm.
that have always had to live on the margins are
Yeah.
kinder and more generous and more open to each other
Yeah.
and to everyone else. And I just burlesque showed me a world where people just love, and that's it.
Yes.
There's hate, there's love, there's drama, but there's mostly love.
Wow, that's so wonderful. That's so
Changed
that's
everything for me.
and how and you so you think kind of like the comic element, what is it about it? You're sort of putting yourself out there in a different sort of way.
I think that beauty is redefined.
Hmm.
There's boylesque, there's burlesque, there's cabaret, there's beauty is redefined. It's not
Yeah.
so boring. It's not so airbrushed. It's not only am I going to look completely different in any way I want to look, any age, any shape, but I'm going
Hmm.
to put glitter and sparkles on it and call it fabulous. And
Hmm.
you're going to be right there with me because you wish you could do the same. Come join the party.
Yes.
Have the guts. And it's everyone's invited. Come join the party. And
Yes.
did you ever watch an old movie? I always show my age. Can you tell most of my friends are much younger than me? Desperately Seeking Susan,
Well, yeah,
Madonna.
with Madonna.
And
Yeah.
you know the nightclub with the rabbit and the nightclub, and they're all the seedy, dark nightclub in New York.
I sort of don't remember it that well, but I don't remember the movie that well, but and anyway, I can imagine.
That
Yeah.
that was my idea of glamour. And when I did burlesque, I got to perform at Madame Jojo's in London, in Soho.
Yeah.
And to me, because it's an iconic, you know, establishment in London, and to me, it was like the height of glamour, the height of seedy New York. Do you know what I mean? Glamour. Like,
Yeah.
I love glamour. And that's why I love your book, because all the characters in your book are glamorous. Even the
It's so
Italian
funny.
ones. They're glamorous in their drama, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yes. Yeah. But what does glamour mean? Glamour means a kind of strangeness and an unfamiliarity. So if
Yeah.
can glamour be what you actually know? I mean, can your Glaswegian husband be glamorous?
Oh, he's very glamorous. I
Is
wouldn't have
he? Oh,
married him if he wasn't.
wow, that's nice. That's very, very, very nice. Yeah.
But 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 to me, glamour is anything that's different
Mm.
and then calls itself. Just decides that it's glamorous, that
Yeah.
shiny, perfect, look at this. It's deems itself glamorous.
Well, my in my childhood there was an expression. There was this experimental filmmaker Jack Smith, who is a friend of my mother's, and he had an expression moldy glamour. That what he liked was moldy glamour. So something that was kind of a little rotting and a little falling apart and a little
I love
rackety. So moldy glamour was something I kind of like grew up with.
I
rather than a
love that. Like
stranger.
Ruth Gordon epitomizes that for me. It's Ruth Gordon,
Yeah.
Harold and Maude,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
watched an old Newhart episode. This is where I'm at mentally at the moment. I'm watching the old Newhart episodes before I go to bed. And Ruth Gordon comes on.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a few weeks before she died. And her life energy. She's
Yeah.
not like, I mean, she's talked about how she's not classically beautiful or you wouldn't stop it. But you do. You hold your breath when she walks on any
Really.
screen.
Yeah, it is.
And
That is
that's
true.
right.
It
And
is.
your book. I've held my breath through your entire book
Mm.
because that, and it's the courage to just say, this is me.
Yeah. Yes.
And yeah, you've
Cool.
shown that in this book. And I'm just like, I can't, you are my Nadia, because I was just like, wow.
Mm.
Through doing the book and then knowing I was going to interview you. No, normally I interview people, just kind of blind sometimes, or people that I've known. But I was like, oh my God, I'm reading this book and now I'm like going to get really, really nervous. I think I reached out to my friend before. I said, what
Yeah.
do I ask? I'm afraid I don't want to ask too much because of this book, because I admire your courage.
Mm. But that's kind of fun. Yeah, it's funny because as I say, it's a book about feeling cowardly and using the other people's examples to try to make yourself a little braver. For me to try to make
Yeah.
myself. So
But
it's
the
about
fact that you say that you felt cowardly is the bravest act of all.
yeah. Mm. Um, I know, but yeah, but there are people who are out in the streets every day, and I'm kind of I'm
Yeah, you
hope.
can't compare though, can you? I used to complain about headaches. Um,
Mm.
Turned out I had a brain tumor. Who knew? But at the time I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was a happy ending. Perfect happy ending. Got rid of it, fine, perfect. But the whole thing was I had these intense headaches and I
Yeah.
was at a corporate job and they kept asking for money for like starving kids here and starving kids there and everything. Which of course everyone completely cares about giving to these things and you give like all the time.
Yeah.
But there was always something else. And somebody came up to me at one point and I was just like, I was losing my eyesight. I was trying to maintain this corporate job. I was beside myself, just sheer will to get to work. And she was like, we need $20, by the end of the day for another. And I just burst into tears. And this lady, she said, it's okay. I'm like, I know, I just have headaches. And there's kids starving in Africa, and I've got my stupid headache I'm worried about.
Mhm.
And she said to me, she said, you can't live everyone else's life. You have to live
Yeah.
your own life. You have to just so you can only be brave in your life, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So so what happened?
What? Oh, I was like, with what? Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had it wasn't a big deal. It was a pituitary tumor, and they finally found it, and they found it on a Friday and got rid of it on Monday. It was the best thing that ever happened to me in my entire life. Funny, because I was brave, because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, get rid of it,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
know, and he did.
Hmm.
And that was it. And my eyesight came back. And
Fantastic.
this kind of tumor usually comes back within like 7 years. They have a big recidivism rate. Never came back.
Oh, thank
Happy
God.
ending.
Fantastic.
But
Fantastic.
although the people on this call have heard about it 60 zillion times, but I normally don't talk about it much because if you tell people something and it's one of the unattractive parts of life,
Mm.
especially if it's about health,
Yeah.
they get really uncomfortable. Or they start talking to you like, I'm like, they didn't take my brain out. And people don't, if you post something and I say, oh, went through a really hard time and oh my God, look at how I overcame it. It's amazing. I wonder about this as a writer. I wonder what you think about this as a writer. It freaks me out, the lack of control
Mhm.
I have in the way people receive my message. And social media really made that clear because I've noticed that if you post, oh my God, this horrible thing happened and I fixed it and everything's amazing, learn from me,
Yeah.
you get a lot of people that go, oh, I'm so sorry. Is it? They completely miss the hero part of the story
Yes.
and they go straight to the feel sorry for you victim part of the story. And it
Yes.
drives me crazy. And so if I were to write a book deeply laden with meaning, do you ever have people come back to you who've completely missed the point?
I think yeah, a certain amount, but sort of more like a lot of the time I review books. When I review books, and I didn't actually like the book that much, but it's the New York Times book review, so I don't want to slam somebody. And then if I'm pretty sort of neutral sounding. But I think I'm sort of like making it clear I don't think this book is great.
That would be
And
so
then
hard.
all my friends say I just ordered a copy. Wow, sounds amazing. Sounds wonderful. So more like that. Um, uh, but I do, definitely true. You can't control people's reactions. And people, everybody's in their own heads. And it's very, very hard. I think I try sometimes to think, well, what's this person trying to tell me? What do they want to tell me? What's this? What is this about? But it's not, it's not always easy.
But it's a
Um,
reminder that you're a freak. It's a
yeah,
reminder that you live in a different world than popular opinion or and reviews are a reminder of that as well. Like,
yeah. But maybe maybe you're also up to something you didn't even know you were, and maybe you're signaling something that you didn't know you were that that maybe there's a kind of a series of messages there, and your reader or viewer is picking up on one of them.
well, so do as a writer, can a writer afford to pay attention to that? Because doesn't that become a lot of noise? A lot of self-doubt, questioning, are you putting something out there that you don't mean to be putting out there? Doesn't that cause a lot of insecurity and self-doubt in a writer?
I think for me, I can't really pay too much attention to people's reactions because it's distracting.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled if something means something to somebody, or but I can't really, I can't, I can't listen. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't, I can't think, I can't listen to sort of good, positive or negative.
I
Um,
say because I don't read my reviews, and the few times I've gotten caught out or somebody sent me one, positive or negative, they're both as bad because aren't they telling you to look outside?
yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a mixed thing. You want readers. You're really grateful for readers. You want to affect people.
But you don't
But
want to know what the effect was.
yeah, well, you want to do whatever you have to do to because it'll keep on going. And
Yeah.
not be too sort of not be distracted.
To protect
Um,
the muse.
yeah, to protect the sort of this inside place that it comes from. So I find that a little bit tricky. I don't, uh, I have to kind of keep on looking inward. While hoping that whatever I write does kind of speak to people and does d help them, or affect them,
Are
or
you writing another book now?
yeah, I'm writing another book. And it's a weird book because it's sort of a little bit memoir, a little bit autobiography, a little bit history, but also a lot of fiction mixed in there. So it's
Oh,
kind of got all these different strands, and it's a very it's on a kind of much more unified subject. And I can't
no spoilers. We
oh
won't
no,
ask for
but
spoilers.
I'm having a very good time, but it's also another one where I have to go deep, and there's some very painful tragic histories in there that I find extremely sort of wrenching and hard to think about. This is sort of real life histories, not quite mine, a sort of bit of historical material.
Wow.
So it's agonizing, and I
Oh,
find
wow.
do anything not to write certain sections of this book.
Which
But
will make it a spectacular book.
hope so. Yeah,
It will be. It will. Okay. Nobody gets away without this moment at the end of
yeah,
the call. If you were to say anything to the YouTube audience that's going to be watching this in 100 or so years,
yeah.
if you left them with anything, if they took one thing away from this call, what would you like to leave them with? Advice to new writers, advice to narrators, advice to just people in general, even a funny joke. What would you like them to remember you for in this call?
I think some of the stuff we've sort of like discussed, that these moments of dark not knowing come around again and again and again, and you get through them, and you take heart from other people's kind of bravery and toughness, and you'll get through it. And learn, that I think you learn from the moments of darkness and not knowing, and absolute confusion and not knowing and chaos.
I love that. I love that. And I love your book. I love your writing.
So thank you
I'm so
very
happy that you got back to me, that you read my email, and that you joined us on this call. I'm a better person for having read your words and met you, Fernanda. So
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much, Daniela. I'm really happy to be on your show, and I'm so happy you're doing the book.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And thank you so much to the studio audience. Mwah! All my favorites joined today. So it's wonderful. It's good to see all you guys, and it's good to see you. Thank you, Fernanda. Bye.
Thank you, Daniela. It's been
Bye,
great.
everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye.